All righty, what's going on, Macro Perspective peeps? Man, we have a special edition of the Macro Perspective podcast today. We are live at the Palms in person here in Las Vegas. Man, I'm super excited. But before we get into the podcast, what we have today, please like, comment, subscribe, and most importantly, sharing, really helps us grow and helps the message get out there and the guests that we have. And today I'm super honored to introduce our guest here today, Jaime French. Jaime, thank you so much for being on the pod. Rachel, our producer, sent us a video, and we're going to get into it, but it was such a profound video, and it's our day-to-day work, Marcos and I day-to-day work, and we just felt we needed to have your presence here. And thank you so much for blessing us with your time. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for asking me to come. It was an honor.
And guys, just for y'all listening, she flew in from St. Louis, right?
I did.
So,
but like I told him, it was an excuse to come to Vegas also. Not to take away from you guys.
No, for sure. But we have a little dossier, but I always love to hear it from our guests. Like, Jim, you mind introducing yourself to our audience a little bit, what you've been up to, what you're excited about? We'll just kind of let the conversation roll.
Sure. Well, I am a creator, a content creator. You're not allowed to call me an influencer. That word is like so taboo now. I started in beauty. I somehow transitioned over to comedy and commentary. And I realize now that it's kind of what I've been doing my whole life. I got a video camera at 12, and this is exactly what I was doing then, is just trying to make people laugh and, whatever vision I had, creating it and making it into a video. So here I am, and it brought me here with you guys, and I get to have cool opportunities and interviews, meet new people, have experiences, and it's the best job ever.
You're actually our second creator. Our first one does commentary to like nostalgic videos.
Mm-hmm. My buddy Brandon Matsuda, and he and I went to elementary school together, and he does like the voice of your childhood.
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds fun. I'll have to look him up.
So anything, if you like Dexter, Laboratory, Powerpuff Girls, any of that kind of old Cartoon Network and like Toonami, he'll do like, this is the guy. And he was really cool because we got along right when the strikes kind of started.
Yep.
And he was like, dude, I don't know how content's going to be without movies or content coming out. And these strikes have been going on for a while, so it's been interesting.
So he's like a very niche, because not everybody likes Cartoon Network. Everybody I grew up with was Nickelodeon.
Yeah.
And only certain kids did Cartoon Network.
I think he does everything. I think he does like Nickelodeon and Cartoon. I think he just does all nostalgic type of anime right now. So
that's right up my alley.
Yeah, and he also mentioned like being this place where he would get some like it's like escaping me. Like for video trailers, and he would like comment on video trailers, and like part of like the marketing for that like new upcoming film was like the reaction to those, which I thought was like pretty unique. But it was like you have to hit on these key points, and he was like, that's not like my style. And so he literally like got out of like quote a creator role and was like, if I don't have full autonomy doing these things anymore, it's not going to be something that I'm going to go after.
Yeah, that's why I've been really hesitant to cross over into television or film, because that's like a big dream, and I thought that would maybe be the next step.
Yeah.
But you lose that autonomy, like you mentioned. Like you don't get control over everything, and YouTube ruins people for that. We get so used to being our own directors and writers.
So like with your content, you've been doing it for about 7 years, because we were talking off camera here. Where did you start with your content, and then how did you figure out what you needed to niche into? How did you find your voice is the question.
Well, I started in beauty because I knew I wanted to do YouTube, and that was the only skill I had, because I was a hairstylist and makeup artist for 10 years. And I didn't think you could just make a YouTube video about nothing. I didn't know commentary existed and that you could just get on there and talk about whatever you wanted. I knew people were doing sketches, but I had absolutely no confidence in that.
Yeah.
And I was like, every comedian's biggest fear is not getting a laugh. And so I was like, I don't want to put something out there that I think is funny and get people being like, you're not funny. So I thought I had to have my skill to do YouTube.
Yeah.
And then I got very burnt out on my skill. And Wasn't even that good at it. I was a very like mediocre makeup artist, hairstylist. And once I started combining comedy, I felt like the views kind of told me
Yeah.
this should be your niche. Nobody's watching the beauty because it was a dime a dozen. That market was so saturated. So whenever I started doing like comedic makeup videos and they got millions of views, that was like the turning point for me. I was like, okay, maybe I can do comedy. And it was like a slow transition. It took forever, but I've never looked back.
Mm.
In
Finding
fact,
the niche.
I hate when people talk about makeup, like bring up makeup for me now.
Oh,
Have makeup questions
that's
and
ironic that we gave you a whole gift card then.
oh no,
Oops.
Yeah, sorry.
oh no, I still have to use it.
Okay.
That's a great
Okay,
gift.
okay. We're like,
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, I
It's like when you run into, I'll meet a viewer, and instantly it's like, what kind of mess? Yeah, and I'm like, I don't even know. I've been out of the game so long. I don't
Yeah.
know what products to recommend anymore. I'm so burnt out on that whole thing.
it's exhausting. I mean, my wife's a cosmetologist, I guess, officially, right? She does hair. She likes doing lived-in color. So I'm like learning little bits and pieces of it, right? And
So does she come home at the end of the day with like her soul broken?
oh my god, yeah, she's like, it looks great, and then she's so worried about like what's gonna happen next, right? Like, I love it, but then, like, like it didn't pull like maybe 100% like to their liking or all these little things, and she's just like hard on herself. But I mean, like, you did great work. Like, they gave you what they quote wanted, and if the hair doesn't cooperate 100%, like you told them up front, like getting you from this level to that level, it's just not possible in one treatment, right?
They'll still blame the stylist though.
I know.
It
Horrible.
is, yes. That you have to be a special person to be a hairstylist. Anybody who makes it past the 10-year mark, I'm like, it's a superpower
Yeah.
because it's physically exhausting, it's mentally exhausting, all that pressure. I mean, people care more about their hair than I can't think of like another their doctor appointments. Like
Yeah.
you do something wrong to their hair,
You're
it can
done.
make or break their whole life, and it's too much pressure.
So
I
for me,
empathize
like,
with your wife.
for me, I think about this a lot, like, because my background's in kinesiology, and I think about like all the hours you're like this,
Yes.
and I'm like, I wonder how that does to the body,
And standing still, your feet, like if I wore the wrong shoes cutting hair all day, my mood was in the toilet compared to if you wore the right shoes. Like just having the foot pain,
Yeah.
it's a lot. And it's customer service, working with the public, dealing with people's problems.
Go ahead, dude.
I mean, I can resonate because like what we're doing in coaching, like you can definitely like weigh the emotions of people on you, like again, you get a bad day because somebody's like pissed off about something that happened to them, and then you're feeling it, right? And then yeah, like the body thing, it does start to like be like, she's like, what the fuck is this thing like in my shoulder? Like she's like, I need to call Adam. So Adam's like the PT that we go to like on a regular basis, like, and I'm like, hey, just get in with him. You're gonna feel like 100% better. And yeah, it's like she needs like a maintenance expense like every 2 weeks just because of like the position that she's in.
Oh, your wife. Okay.
My wife. Yeah.
I was like, is this a patient of yours?
No, yeah, that's not my wife.
Yeah, the chiropractors like
Godsend.
would get on, yeah.
Yeah.
They would get on you bad.
Yeah. And so it's just like, I'm like, I don't know. It's always the right shoulder.
It is, yeah. Yeah.
The blow drying arm or whatever it is.
Yes.
And so she always comes in like with a new like crippling ailment. And same thing, the shoe thing is a real thing. She's like, I need to go buy like 3 more pairs of this. And I'm like, girl, like your whole closet is nothing but freaking shoes.
Like the Doc Martens, like old lady looking. That's what you have to wear.
It's that comfort, yeah.
Yeah.
You got to set yourself up for success. I tell this to people all the time. Like, I've been being on a personal training for almost like 8 years to 10 years. I mean, I'm in the service industry in that way too, right?
Yeah.
Where on the hour, you kind of have to be bipolar because 5 a.m. is a different energy than 6 a.m. class. 6 a.m. is different energy than 7 a.m. semi-private or your 8 a.m. one-on-one. And then it's like you have to play this game. And it's like you have to check your personality and your breath and like your body. You have to do like a check-in on the hour and then go, all right, who's on the docket? And then,
You
bring.
have to be full energy all the time as a trainer.
It depends. Yeah, it depends. I mean, if you're doing more of the group classes, it's edutainment or entertainment is what we call it. There's a book I want to write. It's called Entertainment. Put that down, Rachel. But entertainment, because it's like, hey, you're gonna do your squat, but how do you make that squat funny for someone and be like, all right, no twerking today, guys. I know the music's popping, but no twerking.
So you have to perform.
You got to perform. You've had a lot of performatives, and I mean, I feel like I'm doing comedy sometimes. I feel like I look at it during COVID. I had to do Zoom classes, and I look at some of those. I'm like, yo, that's a comedy right there. Put that out. Put that out.
Maybe you should get some more clients.
Yeah.
As a comedic personal trainer.
No, exactly.
Yeah, coaching group X classes is a different energy, and just like, again, different subsets of people showing up to the same class depending on like what gym you go to. Again, different completely energy drain, just like different persons that would sit in your chair. You're just like, damn, I got so and so today.
Do you have to talk to them a lot, like conversations?
It depends on. Well, for me, it was CrossFit, so you're really taught to like get in there, give coaching cues, and try to make it so that there's like an individualized attention, right? And so you're trying to cue, coach, give feedback, and the goal of like a class of 15 to 20 people is like trying to hit each person with like 3 or 4 good cues, and then afterwards kind of discussing that, or they're like, oh, that was the one that got me into that. But then also keeping the energy high, with the music's blaring, you're kind of yelling, and
that's a lot to think about.
It is. And
then you have an hour. That's it. Like you have to make it exciting, fun, flow. You have to think about logistics and space. Like there's a lot to it, and if you just go in and wing it, it shows people are just like, this person doesn't care.
100. I've had personal trainers, and I could tell they were winging it. I'm like, you didn't personalize that to me.
Yeah.
You just came up with it right now.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of that. I mean, it's hard because get big classes and stuff. Jamie, I'm curious. So, talked about beauty, talked about where you're at, but you said you turned into comedy.
Yeah.
Where did that come from? Where did you pull that from, and how did you decide? Okay, I'm gonna make this a comedic tone.
Well, most comedians, I think, just like if you're a comedian professionally, you probably were one in your normal life.
Yeah.
Like the class clown.
Yeah.
So that was always kind of my thing. I once heard, I can't remember her name. There's a famous female comedian that I saw in like a documentary, and she said comedy is tragedy plus time.
Oof.
Which is so deep. But like a lot of comedians are funny because they were coping with some sort of like traumatic childhood.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a really rough childhood, a big traumatic event, and I feel like part of it is genetic. Like if your family's funny, you probably will be, and part of it was that. Like it was a coping mechanism.
Yeah.
So I was always funny. It's weird to refer to yourself as funny, but that was like, I was the class clown.
Yeah.
And so it was a no-brainer to eventually transition to that. And I thought it would I remember thinking that would help me stand out as a beauty creator because I added humor to my videos, but it really didn't. It didn't until I made the full transition away from beauty.
So there could never be another serious video amidst the comedy, essentially.
I don't know. I've put out a few serious ones since then, and it usually catches people by surprise.
Okay.
But it can't all be sunshine and roses.
Well, it's not, right? As a creative type person, going back to our other guests, is I don't want to be known for just one thing, right?
Yeah,
we want to be able to tackle multiple things in this discipline of putting out and informing people, but in a certain style, quote. And it feels restrictive. No one wants to do the same thing.
Yeah, it's the internet restricts you. If you want to change things up and rebrand or just test something out, it's always what, I miss the old. What about this content that you used to do 6 years ago? So I always tell people who are first starting, don't niche yourself down too much. Go from the get-go, let everybody know, hey, I'm interested in multiple things.
Yeah.
Because if you choose one niche, my whole rebrand, I lost 40% of my viewers.
Oof.
Yeah.
So you went beauty, then you went to comedy. You did a hard cut.
Yeah. That's the other thing I don't recommend is I shouldn't have made it a thing. I always hear that quote, this isn't a airport, you don't have to announce your departure. And I announced my departure because I thought people were going to be like, why did you stop doing beauty content? But I think announcing the departure is what really hurt me
Yeah.
because people, left. And
Well, I mean, I think I said this the other day. How do you keep people around? People stay around because they rise to your level, and you were just going to another level in who you were as a person.
yeah, you keep people around by being yourself because people will always support the creator, even if they get to know you.
Yeah.
Even if you put something out that they're not that interested in,
Yeah.
if they like you as a person, they'll stick around.
That's the thing I've realized, because like I've followed a lot of content people, especially with social media and stuff, and it's like they're not talking about the stuff I care about anymore, but I like who they are.
Yeah.
And I think that's the difference between a person that's for life and that's, perennial, or the person that was just there for beauty content. And you're like, well, I moved on from beauty content.
Yeah, and you want the viewers that are actually there for you.
Yeah.
But to get that, you have to actually engage with people and not just, I mean, I don't want to sound like what's the word, where I think I'm better than these other creators, but I do see a lot of big creators don't give their audience the time of day. And I feel like that type of, because there's not a relationship there, your audience is more likely to come and go.
Community.
Yeah.
It's tried and true. I mean, that's like why people will go to the same gym once they've bonded with so many core people.
Yeah.
And it's literally the backbone of like the thing we're trying to build is understanding like that has to be at its core the most important thing. Because then if you bring in different offers or whatever it is that we want to try to give to people, it has to be involving the community. And it also makes sense when you make that comment. It's like that's probably why Mr. Beast has like sub channels of like him. It's like you're gonna get a different flavor of things I'm interested in, and that channel may or may not perform as well as like the main channel. The main channel is the main thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think he got wise to what you just said. It's like I'm gonna have a departure of people, and he probably did it early on and realized it's like I can't have gaming stuff on the main channel because people are like, I don't give a shit about that. And then it's like, all right, well, Mr. Beast Gaming, and then it's like people are interested in that, and then they go watch some of the other videos and they go back and forth.
Yeah, I think that's smart. I mean, I said don't niche yourself down too much, but it's also smart to, if you are going to niche, have this channel for this channel for this. Or like I put all my sketches now on TikTok and I don't put them on YouTube anymore. So like it's still me, but I'm doing multiple different things.
Yeah.
But then this audience doesn't have to unsubscribe because they got something they didn't come here for. So that was wise of him to.
It's like a network TV channel. You have
like different series.
Yeah.
So is that
testing
how you say
this
that?
one.
Yeah.
Network. Yeah, you're testing different things. Well, that's the thing is we were talking about this before. Is I saw, I think maybe getting into it is the video that we saw of yours on Facebook, which for me, my media channels that I look through are like Instagram and Instagram, YouTube, where I think like content like that would do great. But I was like, Facebook.
Which type of content?
Your Ozempic video that we want to.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Which interestingly enough, I was like, this video, I was like 8,000 plus comments, so many views, and I was like, holy cow! I thought this would be like something on YouTube would be big.
I see what you're saying. Like you were surprised at the attention on Facebook in particular.
Yeah, because it's not. I didn't think Facebook was like a video place. Like I didn't think you would go there for video.
Well, I mean, think of Facebook as like generational audience. Like every platform has like an age demographic to it. Like I mean, they know based on the analytics. So I find like it's weird because like boomers are on TikTok and Facebook, and then like us millennials are more IG, maybe some TikTok. I mean, like I know like if you're a creator and you're like in that space, but like I don't want another place to go to.
Yeah, I don't look at TikTok very often. I post to it, but I don't look at it.
Yeah, posting goes. Posting goes.
Yeah, Facebook's a whole other demographic that you might not, a whole other audience that you might not have.
Not to mention LinkedIn, which apparently
there's a market there. Whenever I go on it, I get like 500 friend requests, and then they're like, Seamus, we're an agency, and it's like the same thing over and over again. It's like the same copy.
You put content there?
Yeah. They do?
Oh my gosh.
Do funnels and all these other things for marketing, and there's like people that build brand strategies around that to help people like with their LinkedIn strategies, and it's like same idea. but like just a different audience. And you think about it, it's like, okay, if I want someone that's making 250K, right? Like they're probably on LinkedIn because you're looking at like network of a higher capacity. So if you're charging more high ticket, you go there, right? It's, and again, like I don't know from experience about how much you can generate on TikTok for
Not much.
Not much. No, okay. Yeah, so it's not
I
worth
didn't mean to
it.
interrupt.
It's not even worth it. Yeah.
No, I hate. The only reason I post a TikTok is because my agent, who I work with, who wants to get me into film, is like, if you don't have 1 million followers on TikTok, these producers won't even look at you.
That's a weird prerequisite.
I learned the most shocking stuff when I started working with an agent. I don't know if you want to even to go off on this tangent. But
Please.
Yeah, we're kind of interested.
if you want to do film, okay, so she gave me this example. First of all, let me backtrack. She wants me to come up with an idea for my own show that we would pitch to like Netflix or Amazon Prime or some network. And I said, what if I was just like the girl in the background that handed someone coffee? Like, I just want to dabble. I want to dip my toe with acting. And she said, and I quote, "You're way past that point in your career." And I'm like, what are you talking? I haven't started my acting career, but it doesn't matter now. It is all about social media and your following and your follower count. So, for example, the girl who played, she told me, the girl who played Sansa in Game of Thrones, the red-haired girl, she almost didn't get that role because she didn't have enough followers on social media. And I'm like, so it's not about talent anymore. It's about like
marketability.
Yes, who can promote this show to their audience and.
Hey, I'm on this thing, see me in this, go watch the show.
And then they get more money.
It's all this cross-pollination, it seems like nowadays, right?
Yeah,
like it's this concept of like cross-pollinating. And, you know, we see that a lot with people nowadays in the social media game. I mean, I'll throw out like what I was just thinking about, like King Batch.
Oh, yeah, from Vine.
From Vine. But
Yeah,
he had multiple Netflix movies, and they were like some good movies, and then he's on some shows, and it's like, oh, okay. But he had to use his platform. To get there.
And it could, I don't know how he got discovered. I mean, I don't know if he reached out to like an agent or what, but a lot of times like you need that platform for those people to find you.
But the interesting about him though is he already has, I think he's already good like in all aspects. He has like a boxing company, he has like all these other things. Like, so I'm like, I feel like he's just playing the side quest now or something like that, you know? He's already figured it out. Now it's just like, let's just do the acting,
for
you know?
Fun.
For fun. So.
I know, right? How much money does one person need? $1 million question right there.
Just $1 million.
If there's pressure though, like everybody else is starting their clothing line or their energy drink line, so I better do the same thing. Because you always have that fear of like, when is all this going to be over? And what am I going to do when it's over? So I feel like people start these side hustles when they're no longer relevant, then they still have, you know, income or something. That's kind of how I look at it.
Hey, start investing in properties, guys, so you have cash flow and just don't have to worry about anything. And you just can go do things for fun, literally, not worry about. Well, again, maybe they're doing it for fun. Like, again, it doesn't really matter to them. But
that's a good point, though, because that doesn't come down to your face. That's what I always tell Nick. I'm like, the thing I don't like about this job is that every bit of its success comes down to if I can perform that day. My face and my voice and my personality. I'm like, I want it to depend on something else just for a little bit.
That's the thing about what Marcos and I talk about, because, you know, as coaches, you're delivering you and you're getting a client a certain result, right? I mean, it's the same thing we're talking about the beauty. Well, if we can't teach that skill, we can't ever step away. We always have to be on.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's not growable.
Yeah.
It's not.
Depending on the mood you're in or if you're going through something. Yeah, that's a challenging part of it. That's one challenge.
Life is challenging. Like, everybody has something that's challenging them. You know, overcoming that adversity. Ironically enough, was like the theme of the day. We did a hot yoga class earlier. I know.
Today,
right before we came here.
Oh.
And it was just like, you know, like, you got to push through this thing. I was like, girl, like, there's a puddle right here. Like, this is not a normal day for me. I was slipping. She's like, just go through the flow. And I'm just like, you know, but same thing. It's just life. She's just trying to bring metaphor in there, obviously, like, and like speaking those, you know, principles of like the technique. And I'm just like, all right, let me just listen to what she's saying. Not like I need to like go do the work right this second. And then same thing, it's like you're battling some form of adversity, just let it out. Like you only need to worry about like existing right now. And I think all of us are just so worried about like if I do this video, how is it going to be perceived and judged, what our comments going to look like, and
just live in fear.
well, yeah, like we're self-censoring, right? I think that's like a big thing, right? Like you probably have something that's like gold, multiple things that are gold, and you can't post it because of the fear of, do I want that to identify like the brand that I've worked so hard to create?
And like a lot of, I think, things I would like to say would give me backlash. You just can't really, like, you try to be yourself, but you can't fully be yourself on social media.
Do you feel like you're kind of like almost having like some sense of neutrality?
Yeah, well, I'm pretty neutral anyway. Like, I don't have strong political opinions, and there's like some things that I'm actually just am neutral on, but a lot of times, even if I'm not neutral, I still, on social media, I am.
You got to keep it.
Yeah, a lot of content creators, a lot of us live in fear of being canceled or fear of, I try so hard to avoid ridicule. It's so stupid. Like, I've done it my whole life. Like, hold back from certain things or phrase this joke perfectly you try to appease everybody, try to not offend anyone.
That's hard. I mean, as a comedian, I grew up, like, one of my favorite comedians is like Dane Cook, right? And he went so far. I don't know if that can stand in today's day and age. So how do you as a comedian go like, well, this is a great joke. It's just a joke.
Yeah.
But I'm going to get whipped.
Canceled. I don't really know how. I just like, I just, when in doubt, take it out. And a lot of times my editors will put something in and I'm like, someone's going to be offended by that. And I'll take out stuff they put in. And I feel like there are some comedians who can get away with it, like Theo Von. Do you guys?
Oh yeah,
he can get away with stuff.
Yes, and he's so special and so funny. I really like his comedy, and he can get away with it. But if I were to make similar jokes, I would be canceled. So it's just like depends on who you are, and I just try to use my judgment. I've learned over time to give my viewers a little bit more credit. They're not as offended as I originally thought they would be. So I've taken more liberties as I've gotten older.
You test the waters a little bit. Hey, we'll push the past a little bit. I'm going to say this one. They liked it. Okay, let's try that out next time.
Just this morning I was editing a joke my editor put in, and I was like, this is so funny, but it's so offensive. And so I left in half, and I took out the very offensive part. So sometimes you can, do half.
Yeah.
Want the full thing. I mean, granted, that's where you probably need to go to like be on stage, and then like you're gonna put your phone in this bag, and I'm gonna just let loose tonight.
Yeah. If you do stand up, you can definitely get away with more.
Oh, for sure.
But I'm too scared to do stand up.
Why?
I just have, again, this fear of being ridiculed, and I have a big fear of hearing crickets. Imagine getting up and doing stand up and nobody.
You speak in front of a camera all day. It's all crickets.
But a camera is not a crowd. Like, I don't do anything live. I don't sing live. I only sing pre-recorded. I'm doing another podcast Saturday, and they're like, "Can we do a live stream?" And I'm like, "Okay."
Pressure.
Yeah, I'm awkward. Like, I'm not. I look cool and clever in my videos because it's edited, but I'm not good with live.
Well, this is hey, you're doing a great job.
You're doing freaking phenomenal. So
right, like
I guess it is technically, but I'm so used to the.
So used to
yeah. But what was the differences of us being like, hey, we're just gonna be like, by the way, we were in Facebook Live right now. I had no idea.
Right. There shouldn't be a difference, but it gets in my head. I'll freeze and.
It's interesting. It's funny for me. I actually, in my opinion, I do I tell Marcos all the time. I'm like, why am I speaking in front of a camera? Like, it's only a minute long, but it feels like an eternity for me. But if you get me in a room with like a few clients and stuff like that, I'll be like, oh, cool, what's going on? It gives me like.
It gives a good skill to have.
It gives me like it's kind of like table tennis. It gives me a little bounce back. All right, hey, like let's play here. Okay, cool. What's going on there? All right, so
that makes me feel like you're a relaxed person. Like you don't have bad anxiety. Am I correct in saying that?
I have a different relationship with my anxiety than most people probably. I just know Rachel knows this, Marcos knows this, but like I just take a breath, and I know that anxiety. I just like to play it as like it's just excitement. I label it as something else. I just label it as something else. I'm like, is it curiosity? Is it just something else? It's the same feeling, just a different label. That's all.
Because I can't. if I'm doing something live, I can only think about the fact that I'm live.
Mm,
So I'm not hearing what anyone's saying. I can't bounce back and forth because I'm
yeah.
like, there's an audience, there's an audience, there's an audience. You know?
Yeah. Hey, we got different lanes. We've got, different lanes. I mean, you definitely killed it in your lane. And,
Thanks.
if you play a little bit more in this lane, it's kind of like riding a bike again,
Yeah.
You'll definitely
Get used to
learn
it.
and you'll get used to it for sure. So I can see you doing it. I can definitely see you
I'm
doing
gonna have to. I signed with a new manager recently, and he was like, "I really think you should consider touring." And I was like, "Okay." So I'm gonna have to
it.
get out of my comfort zone.
There you go. Maybe just have some cameras on so it still feels like it's like an edited clip.
No, and I think it's so a lot of the patients that we see, they come in and they're about to usually self-administer medications, right, that involve jabbing themselves,
Yeah.
and they're like, "Do I ever get over like the anxiety of like pricking myself with this, half-inch needle?" I'm like, "No, you're gonna continue to have it, but like you're just gonna get so used to it, the exposure of it, that eventually just feels like it's another day in the life." Similarly with doing something in front of people, the first probably 100 times it's gonna feel that way, but like then eventually I think you can become addicted.
Get used to it. Yeah. I performed a lot when I was younger, and I was very used to it. And it's like drinking. It's like if you go so many years without doing it, your tolerance
Yeah.
goes down.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're probably right. I need to
Yeah.
get used to it.
It's just a practice. Yeah.
But it's pressure. I mean, it's valid pressure because it's like you said, like, is this version of this joke going to tank, or is this going to happen? And I think that's obviously what separates the decent people from the good people from the great people, is like just not caring or learning how to pivot or learning how to read the room. Like some of the guys that are on Facebook or YouTube that work the crowd so well, like, what I mean? Like they're like, okay, I have to adjust my set and just like pick on some people. And,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Start heckling.
They just heckle them, the audience, and it's and again, it's another form of comedy. And they probably pivoted because of certain things not landing.
Yeah. God, can you imagine? I've heard that everybody has to go through like
Gotta go.
tanking.
Yeah. You gotta go through your dark ages to get to your everything else. The
Yeah.
first 10, the first 100, you just gotta get through it,
Yeah.
right? And I think you've done that. You've done an amazing job of that. So it's like,
Thank you.
so yeah.
It's crazy how much just like general anxiety disorder will prevent you from exploring things in life, or having experiences.
Could I give you a little analogy for that?
Yeah.
So I use this a lot with my fitness clients, and I'm like, okay, let me ask you something real quick. You can sit down, you can plan out the best freaking workout. You can tell me every single set, rep, rest, every perfect move. Look at how amazingly scientific detailed this workout. It took you 2 hours to create it. Coach, it took me 2 hours. But let me ask you, you spent 2 hours there, but you could have done a 10-minute walk for your goal. Which one would have done better for you?
Is this a trick question? Better for your goal?
Better for your health goal.
I don't know what the goal is.
The
walk?
walk.
Okay.
The
I don't want to be
the
wrong.
point. No, the point there is just the action, because most people create these elaborate, complex, crazy plans, and they're just sitting there on the couch. The biggest thing though is you're sitting in action, right? And I think that's what that anxiety does to us. Is that oh, it's perfect, but guess where it is? It's in here.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's perfect, imperfect, perfect action, it's the best because it's 5-minute walk, 10-minute walk. Once you get through it, you're like, well, that wasn't that bad. I want to do more.
Yeah.
And that's my analogy to people with fitness, because they're like, well, I want the best workout, coach. I'm like, get off the couch then,
I see.
That's the first thing.
Sitting in action is what you called it.
Yeah, sitting in action.
Sitting in action.
Yeah.
That's so true. That's what you do if you let anxiety take over, is you just don't do anything.
No.
You hide.
And I think people
paralysis analysis,
Yeah.
another thing. I mean, there's so many clients.
It's just implementation, right? Like you can be so good at ideas, but I'm like, where are your ideas? They can be on paper, yeah, true, but they're mostly in here. It's just the implementation of it that's actually going to be better, because here's the reality. And I tell this to Marcos all the time. Let's implement right away so we know what doesn't work, and we can just cut that out and go, okay, cool, whew, move on. Iterate. I'd rather iterate upon something and be like, it was the perfect plan. I'm like, never was.
It's genius. Instead of just doing what I do, would just sit there and second guess it and go back and forth and be like, should I do this? Or what if all these bad things happen?
Yeah.
You just do it right away.
A perfect plan, done 0% of the time gets 0 results, and a semi-perfect plan done 100% of the time will yield results. Like, you start learning as to like your outcomes, and you should always have like outcome-based goals and decisions. And I think a lot of people are like, well, what do you think? And I try to be agnostic with it. I was like, well, like, again, where are we starting? What are we moving to? What is to go to talk about the GSPA model, right? Like, if you have a goal as a top layer thing, right? So goal is the thing, the outcome that you're actually desiring. You have skills and practices that you need to do regularly, and then the actions might be like cues environmentally or action steps that like help you get into like actually practicing or working on the skill. Like, if you were to tell somebody how to go start a channel and that was their goal, like, what are the skills and the practices that they need to do it, right? You'd be like, oh, you list it all out. All right, cool. Well, how are they taking action? It's like literally, you have this 1 hour block, you put a camera right there, and you just record the hour, and you learn to go back and be like, this version sucked, that version sucked. I mean,
and it's not wasted time because you learned what didn't work.
Yeah.
Can you guys like be my life coach?
Be honored to. Be honored to.
Absolutely.
I mean, I love coaching. Honestly, I tell people all the time, once you get me on a roll, can't stop me. And I tell people, once you come into my ecosystem, once you come into Marcos, like, this is life. You got to play up here. And the funny thing is, like, you'll just get there. You'll get there with us. It's fun.
Well, you put everything so. It's like when you put it like that, I didn't realize that's what I needed. You make it so visual.
Well, yeah, and some people work that way. Some people are like, don't give me homework. Some people are, like, you have to
Individualize.
You have to individualize. You have these ideas and these principles, and how you articulate it is part of like the coaching process, honestly. And like you just said, it's like, all right, like, if the goal is acting, yeah, that is you in that skill set, right? Like, it's still you, like, in front of the camera, and like you have multiple iterations of it until you get it right, but you're still failing every time. Like, didn't come out right. Like, it wasn't a question. Like, your vocal intonation was off, and and it's like those people are going to give you those cues and direction to help you do it. And same goes with really everything in life. Like, to me, failure is where the fun starts. Because what Seamus said is like, now you know what doesn't work. Shit, like, we can't tell you. We've had some big people on our podcast where the fucking software in internet like wasn't working for the people, and we're like, literally, like, the lost episodes.
Hurricanes.
No, like, you lost it?
Yeah, pretty much. It's unsalvageable. And they were key prime people that, like, not that we were looking for virality or anything, but they were
I just relate.
they were people that, like, they have a great message and it's profound in their specific niche. Like, for example, the one we lost was, she's a dietitian, clinical dietitian, and what she does for work, I was like, dude, this is gold. Sorry, world, unfortunately you can't have it.
Nobody thinks about the technical difficulties you face as a creator.
Oh yeah.
I mean, losing things that you put your heart and soul into because of you clicked the wrong button.
Mm-hmm.
That was something I didn't expect.
Did that ever?
No, I never dreamed I would have technical difficulties, but I just relate to what you're saying.
We haven't hit record yet. I'm just.
It would literally be I have done that. I shot for an hour and it wasn't recording.
Yeah. And it was gold, probably. Like, that was the best.
But in my experience, I don't know if this helps you guys, the second time you redo something, it's always better. And you're always like, I'm actually glad that first one didn't.
Yeah, you take a breath.
Oh yeah. I mean,
If you can get your breath back. That you lost.
No,
she was willing to come back because she noticed the issue, and she knew that, like, and it's funny because she was on someone else's podcast before ours, and we're like, why is that? Like, I was like, why does this seem really off? Like, is he really just listening that well? I think he had technical issues with her, so it was just like really not a ton of like questioning going on, and her like going on, like you'd mentioned that issue that you didn't want to have happen, and it was just like, oh, like, he dealt with the same thing, but it was good enough for her to keep it uploaded. So he still posted it because that person has a big platform, and she's basically the head coach of a very big nutrition coaching company. She's the anti-diet dietitian on Instagram.
Is it
Lane Norton's one of Lane Norton's head coaches.
Lane Norton's like getting big on YouTube as well right now.
Yeah, you've probably seen it. He's like the shitster.
He's a shitster.
like-
Yeah.
He like reacts to people's.
Yeah.
He does a
Okay.
What the F Friday. It's like What the Fitness, basically. Like he'll take TikTok and he'll go something ludicrous that in our world we know is like that's like a myth, that's like dumb, but he will like ape on him. But he does come from an angle of where in our world, like I dealt with body dysmorphia. I was a wrestler, and you know he doesn't take it like a joke. Like he is joking, but it's also like there's a profound presence there of like people have lost their lives because of nutritional, medicinal, pharmaceutical like issues, and he's like, we don't want misinformation with the internet here today. If someone says something on TikTok for 1 minute and a kid flies with that,
Yeah.
oh, I'm gonna do that. I've taken information from the internet and it ruined me. It ruined me.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's why the podcast is like one of the reasons the podcast is here and stuff like that. And that's what Lane does. He's like, I'm here to represent, not misinformation, really give you good evidence based things. So that's what I appreciate about that guy.
Yeah. Makes me want to watch some of his content.
You'll enjoy it because he brings a spin of like humor to it as well, and that's also important for people to like actually be drawn to his message, which is again like these are your the core principles. Like what he wrote a book literally called Fat Loss Forever, and he adapted one of the triangles. Here goes the triangle again. The base of the pyramid: sustainability and adherence, right? And again, like you ask yourself the question: am I going to sustain this for a year from now? And then it's like, if you can't do what you're trying to create right now, a year from now, you need to reevaluate immediately, right? And then,
It's really, like,
yeah.
really-
Iteration.
Well, it made me think about the diet we're currently on.
Oh.
The answer to that question is no.
Well,
I didn't mean to interrupt.
no, but okay. So let's break that down.
Let's break that down because I would love to break because like one of the things that we want to talk to you about today is obviously
Same thing. You created a video that, like, again, is to not espouse like misinformation about something, but again, your personal experience, right? So this is actually a perfect segue. So like, okay, what are you guys doing right now? And do you mind just moving your like I think it was. Just make it.
Will it have not picked
No, we got it. It's just just make it a little better.
How long was it like that?
I don't know. That's
the whole
good.
time?
No, you're just a little louder now. That's
So
all.
sorry. Oh, you can hear.
Yeah.
Got
So,
it.
yeah.
That's cheating. Okay, we're gonna have to edit all like get it.
No.
We're gonna
That, people leave it in.
Yeah,
That's part of the
it's
goal.
like the reality. I like
that's,
it.
I don't like to airbrush things. Yeah, what diet are you on right now? Curious.
I'm scared to tell these two nutrition gurus.
We no judgment like here, like just curious.
We are on the carnivore diet.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's been since May 20th. I can't do math, but it's been
2 months. 2, 3.
no, more than two. May, June, July,
August.
yeah, 3 months.
Well, 3 months, yeah.
And it's so interesting because I started it out of kind of curiosity. I think it's like a good elimination diet. If you go
Mhm.
down to just meat, then you can slowly see if any plants you might react to. Never knew anyone could react to plants, by the way. And so I started it with that, and I also kind of was hoping it would help with depression because Nick sent me a girl, Michaela Peterson. You guys know who she-
I love her father.
Okay, see, I don't know exactly what he does. I don't know much about
He's a
him.
clinical psychologist, but he wrote a book. Well, he wrote a few books, but the book that got most people him on the field was a book called 12 Rules for Life.
Okay, so he's kind of like a motivational.
He's in that realm. Yeah, he's in that realm.
I see. Well, so it really helped him with his depression.
Yeah.
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 You're getting directions from him.
So
So that was like the goal.
yeah.
And in, I don't remember how many, maybe 6 weeks, I lost more weight than I did in however many months I was on Ozempic.
Mm-hmm.
And more than I've ever in my life at one time. Like, especially since my thyroidectomy.
Mm.
And I was like, okay, but is it because I've done keto before? And
Yeah.
so I didn't think it was just, and that didn't really work for me. So I was like, I don't think it's just that I'm in ketosis. This seems like something else. And slowly but surely, more things started to improve. My husband's back pain completely went away.
Yeah.
And as soon as we've gone off the diet, it comes right back.
Mm-hmm.
And so now I'm like, I'm in trouble. Like, I don't know how to get off this diet because I don't feel like it's sustainable. Like you
Good
just
thing
said.
we're here. Good thing we're here. I've done everything under the sun. I did carnivore. I did it because not of like a weight loss thing or like pain. I have psoriasis.
Oh, it's
And-
good for skin stuff.
So here's the funny thing. most people would think would be great for psoriasis. Did all the research, did all of it. Guess what happened with me?
It got
got worse.
worse.
And going down that deep rabbit hole is like, you have to realize, like you said, like it was working for you, but like I had to find a way. Like as soon as it stopped like working, I was like, oh my gosh, my psoriasis got worse. So I had to find another thing. I had to iterate on that. But
Could it have been one of those things where it gets worse before it gets better? You get like a
you know,
How long did
honestly,
you do it?
I did it for 6 months.
my carnivore?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my
And then I
God.
added in mushrooms.
Yeah.
Then I added in Greek yogurt. Every month I was adding in something every month. And I think I got to the point that I added in like spinach or something like that. And it was just, once I started having carbs though, my psoriasis got a lot better faster.
Weird. Wow.
I think the reason was, and this is part of our class too, is in the precision nutrition, is I think it's like, it was my gut microbiome.
Oh yeah.
Something about it did not appreciate carnivore, which most people that would say like it should be good because you're eliminating things. But I think just for me, my specific biome is like, no, it needs certain things, and so
everybody's different. Yeah.
Speaking of that, did you have any like digestive enzymes or?
So that's the thing. I wanted to jump on some of those and stuff like that, but I was so purist about it that
you can't
like I was
take
like, no, I'm gonna do what Jordan said. No, do it like.
Oh, so you did, because he's not just carnivore, he's the lion diet. Did you
I don't
do
even know
that?
what that is anymore. What is that?
Lion diet is just ruminant meat, salt, and water. So ruminant meaning animals with multiple stomachs.
Yeah.
Cows, and I don't even know, bison.
Cow,
lamb.
sheep, and goat.
Goat, yeah,
Okay.
bison.
So no
venison,
dairy, no like fish, no
he's
chicken,
he's not
pork.
fully in it. Oh wow.
Yeah. So did you do it? You didn't do it that
I didn't do it. I did 6 months because I played. So the problem was I played with multiple things. I played with veganism before or vegetarian. That made it worse. Then I went to carnivore. Like I think I was just throwing too much at myself that I just needed a baseline.
Yeah.
There you go. And once I figured out my baseline, because I was trying to do 50 things at once, you know, like yeah, you're losing weight, but you're also like fighting your depression, like you're saying, right? Or you're fighting an emotional back pain or whatever. For me, I was like, well, I got to do jujitsu. I got to perform, and it's like, you can't be doing 50 goals at once. You really got to think about one, just like really one pillar thing, you know?
Can't slave for two masters.
Yes.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's not me as a scripter. I can't take credit. Yeah, it has been shocking to say the least. I've never experienced anything like this, and I saw I don't know if you would call her a carnivore doctor. I saw a doctor. I was telling Rachel about it, and she is like a thyroid specialist. Her name's Elizabeth Bright, and she really pushes the carnivore diet. And she had me go even stricter, and the results got even better. So now I'm really afraid to ever go off of it.
So this is the part where like we work with people like this on the day-to-day where they got pushed to the extreme. At this point, I totally hear your fear. Like I understand where you're coming from. What's going to happen now is, okay, you're going to keep pushing it as long as you can, but then you have to find a way to start what we call reversing you back to a lifestyle that is, you know, doable.
If we're going to plug our IP, it's balance. Yeah. So
a lot of people want me to be balanced, but that's not something I'm good at.
We all suck at it, but it ebbs and flows, honestly. So if you think of it like at each phase, you have a period at which you have to stick to something. This is what nutritional periodization is really all about. You're trying to focus on meeting an end goal and seeing if you can yield a result. And you got to give it enough time, like you have. But again, how many days could you maybe work in like one meal that is like, again, you're out in Vegas, like it's obviously really easy to just order the steak or whatever meat you eat. But like if you add like the bread or if you add something else, like does it have deleterious effects? Is it that immediate? You know what I mean? Like, and I think that's the thing that most people freak out about. And they're like, oh my God, I can never not do this thing like you said. And again, when I coach somebody, I'm like, hey, we're looking at more of a macro view, not a micro day-to-day thing. Extrapolate it out to a week, extrapolate it out to 2 or a month, right? Let's look at what happened as that trend, and then be able to make the judgment call of like, what's the best version of your like maintenance or your balance phase, right? If you're pursuing a further loss, you have to be more stringent. If you're pursuing more balance, you know, understand that you have to learn the frequency at which you can do something that takes you off of it.
Yeah.
Right. And that's where a lot of people are like, when they learn about like macronutrients and they understand like caloric restriction and, like you said, you've been losing at a rate that you've never seen before. Again, keto probably didn't work because fat has a lot of calories, and a lot of people don't take that into consideration as to why they can't lose. But with the meats you're choosing, they're probably far leaner, right? They may be more grass-fed.
Or satiating.
Actually, no.
Oh, okay.
Ribeyes only?
Mostly ribeye. Fat. I've actually increased my dietary fat.
Okay.
But I do have a calorie, it's around 1,800.
Mm-hmm.
But I've eaten lower calories before, like when I was on Ozempic. Ozempic takes your appetite away.
Yeah. Tell us about the Ozempic, because that's like,
And it didn't
when I watched your video, I was like, this is a really great account of this. Like, you gave the phasing. Like, I watched a
I had
17-minute video. I was like, got the notes. I was like, this is really, like, this is what I hear from my patients. This is what I hear from my clients. But you weren't really in depth about it. Yeah, tell us, let the audience know, like, what was that like for you with the Ozempic? You're down to 1,200 calories.
I don't know if I got to 1,200.
Oh, okay.
I feel like I was around 14.
Sorry, apologies.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, around
just didn't
low
want
calories.
I didn't want Thomas to be like, that.
Yeah, exactly.
That's an eating disorder.
Apologies. I just, most people when they do something low, that's me. But
That's
you got low calories, that 1,400.
Yeah, and it was just so devastating because I thought it was going to be it was my last bullet. I was like, this is finally going to be the answer because I have struggled with my weight literally as far back as I can remember. And it seemed like there was no way that this wasn't going to work. Yeah. But in hindsight, I have felt that way about everything I've tried. I was like, keto. Everybody's dropping weight on keto. It's going to work for me. Or Weight Watchers or whatever. But this seemed so scientific because it's a drug. And like you could visually see all these celebrities looking like completely different people. And like having PCOS, I was like, this is what it is. It is going to fix my blood sugar problems. So it was very disappointing that it didn't work. And I kept that hope week after week after week where the scale didn't move an ounce. And it did what it said it's supposed to do, which is it reduced my appetite.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm assuming it did something to my blood sugar. I can't remember like my blood sugar numbers during it because I had blood work and stuff. But the drug worked, but I didn't lose weight. And now it seems after seeing Dr. Bright that is related to my hypothyroidism, which I thought was not a problem. But Ozempic was disappointing, and it was like horrific. I had horrific other effects that I never heard people talk about. I didn't know you could get anxiety from it. I thought the worst side effects would be like gastric.
Nausea?
Yeah, nausea. Yeah. I never knew it was going to be like the worst 17 weeks or however it was of stomach pain, diarrhea, nausea, not being able to sleep. I have lingering side effects from it. I have joint pain in my elbows that I never had, and of course I can't prove that it's related, but I never had joint pain until I got on Ozempic. It seemed like it was just highly inflammatory for me everywhere.
It's weird because, Ozempic is like Gen 1 of the GLP agonist. Yeah. So,
meaning more mild?
No, more side effects. Yeah. So as you get further into generations, so that's like Gen 1, Gen 2 is like Mounjaro, Gen 3 is
Tirzepatide.
No,
Resveratrol.
Rybelsus?
Yeah.
Not Rybelsus, but it's something else. It's like it's like one that they're like, this one's even better than the second generation one because they're figuring out like how to eliminate more side effects based on whatever's being bonded to the peptide, essentially.
Yeah, now they're doing the mimics, which are like GIP instead of GLP.
Yep.
It's like really weird. They're getting really granular with it.
I know. Yeah. So like the first one worked on one pathway, the second one worked on 2. Now it works on 3. Next thing you know, they're like, okay, all these things in harmony. Like your appetite is down. It doesn't have all those other issues of like slowing it down too much. It's like, again, like they're literally like, just like with food engineering, it's like, God almighty, a Dorito is like perfectly engineered shit. You know what I mean?
To make you keep going.
Yeah. And you're just like, why is this so, why can't I just eat the whole bag? It doesn't matter what size it is, I'm eating the whole thing, right? And so like, that's where they're trying to like hone it down, the science and then the clinical studies and all that stuff. But, it's interesting to hear like that happen to you. And I for every positive case, it's like a 50-50 crapshoot based on what the data said in the original papers, right? Like for every one person is one person that's having a bad effect, but they're going to highlight the highlight reel, which our society does a great job of. And they don't highlight the things that people don't think about. Like you just said, that's the thing to consider, joint pain. Is this a last-ditch effort? One of the patients I worked with was getting a migraine like every 2 days, and she already struggled with migraines. She's like, I can't. It's like I'm gaining weight with this because I can't do things, and a driver that was helping her weight like come off was activity. So if you felt bad enough to not do anything, even though you're eating so low, maybe now you're eating well, your thyroid's functioning better, and you're moving again. Like you have like your lifestyle actually in order, so your body can make more physical changes.
I feel like it. Dang it! I had a thought and it just escaped my mind. We were talking about she didn't want to do anything. Dang it.
She lost her motivation because she felt so terrible.
Yeah, I lost my train of thought, but it was something to do with. Yeah, it'll come to me. It'll come to me at 2 a.m. Yeah, I never saw, even on the commercial when they read off all the terrible side effects at the end, I never saw the ones that I mentioned. And so it's interesting even to hear about your patient saying she had migraines. I don't feel like they even mentioned migraines.
Well, she had an existing history of it, and it just exacerbated. So if there's any existing issues, what I'm seeing in practice with people that are getting it is like it can exacerbate things that are already problems for you.
Yeah, right. So that's probably why my colitis got worse.
Yeah, that could be that. That's there.
Yeah, and colitis is another one because it's already like a gut related kind of issue, and then now you're slowing it down. It's sitting there longer. Like again, could it exacerbate that? I mean, they didn't test it in patients for that particular reason in the beginning. It was a blood sugar, lowering medication. But the side effect was weight loss. Now they're like, wait, if we target this further, we can make it the magic bullet, the weight loss drug.
I just remembered. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You mentioned your client said she was gaining on Ozempic. Okay.
Wow.
So that was something that I liked about the drug is that I did not gain for that whole time I was on it. In normal life, if I were to just like eat what normal people eat, she knows what I'm talking about. Yeah. If you have PCOS, hypothyroid, you just gain by the day. Yeah. So it did stop that. And so I don't want to like completely demonize it and act like it's the worst drug in the world because I know like I saw some stuff that I liked. I liked the reduction in appetite, etc.
I wanted to ask you, did you work with anyone other than the physician or with the Ozempic? Did you work with anyone initially with doing your fitness, doing your nutrition, or like looking at your lifestyle?
Not, you mean like when I was on Ozempic?
Mm-hmm.
No. Apart from my doctor, like I shared everything with her, and I've had fitness people over the years. Like I have a trainer right now.
Mm-hmm.
I worked with one a couple years ago. Like I've hired them off and on because I get all excited and I'm like, this is going to work. And
the reason I ask is I think Marcos made a point about a few weeks ago when these new generations coming out is like, it really reinforces the fact that a performance health coach should be lodged into a program with Ozempic because when you're doing a daily, a weekly, a bi-weekly, a monthly check-in, a lot of things people forget. You can talk about the fitness, you can talk about the nutrition, and like, here's your perfect plan. But remember, we talk about iteration. Day to day, week to week with Ozempic it's a wild, wild west right now. We don't know what happens. And the way you responded, if you were having day to day with someone to look at your habits and kind of track with you and talk with you, right? You would have pinpointed, oh, snaps, maybe my calories did get way too low and that's why I didn't move. Oh, snaps, I'm having joint pain. How can I, approach this, right? Yeah. And I think that's the hard thing that people are realizing is they think they're going to take the pill, yet you have to remember the lifestyle needs to be that much more worked on because you're going to get off of it. If you don't have these reinforced habits after 17 weeks that you were on, what happens, right? What happens?
I did try to do my own normal, like I walked outside every day.
Yeah.
I always try because I sit so much filming and editing. I tried to like move but I didn't have a person there like every step of the way,
I have a question. Did your doctor, was it kind of like, here's your Ozempic, we'll see you in 6 weeks, or was it Like, what kind of guidance did your doctor give you?
So because I was too big of a baby to stick myself, I went to her for the shot every week, and I would update her on how I was feeling. And her office is right below my studio, so I would just pop downstairs and go in there. And sometimes it was her or her like nurse practitioner,
Yeah.
but they definitely monitored. And she apologized to me after, and I never blamed her, but she was like, I hope you don't think I was being dismissive. I feel like you tried to tell me that it was giving you all these problems, and I didn't take you off it soon enough. But I didn't feel that way. Like I felt like I wanted to stay on it, and even when she pulled me off, I wanted to get back on it.
Mm.
So I didn't blame my doctor at all.
Yeah.
They're doing their best, you know.
Yeah, it's the new frontier. I mean, that's where we have weekly or bi-weekly calls with our physicians and our team to talk about the interesting cases that are happening, and we kind of shed light on, what we're experiencing to give people, again, some anecdote, like, hey, by the way, blah, blah, X, Y, Z is happening, or this is what we've noticed. And that's where I kind of came up with a theory. Like, a lot of people are just saying, they're getting Ozempic face, or their hair is falling out, or all those quote side effects of the drug. And I'm like, well, those are usually indicators of thyroid not functioning properly. Meaning these people are probably still eating in a lifestyle but just less. And we had somebody on our podcast for Food Lies talking about, hey, like if you're not eating stuff that has like vitamins and minerals and nutrient dense calories, and you're just eating, again, just less Doritos for sake of what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Like yes, it's less, but it's void of things that help with normal like health function, right? And so I think a lot of people are like, well, like this drug is now causing this. Like, no, like these people are not taking the necessary extra steps. What a coach would bring to light, like, yeah, like I do feel like, there's like little indicators that people are like, okay, like how are you salting your food? Is a question that I actually ask a lot. And they're like, I use like pink salt. And I was like, okay, cool. Where else are you getting iodine? And they're like, where do you even get iodine? And I was like, I mean, like cranberry juice, like 2 ounces a day. And they're like, really? I was like, yeah, just a little. It goes like, again, RDV, like that simple. And even I didn't know. Ironically enough, I read it in a book about like sports performance for the vertical diet.
Yeah.
Right. And Stan Efferding, he's actually a local
Vegas. Yeah. Try to get him on.
One day.
One day. What I like about him is he comes at it from a different perspective of performance. He's dealing with bigger athletes, like strongmen.
Yeah, he was the strongest. He's known as like the strongest bodybuilder. Like that was like his
really?
like his moniker. But he's now in like these later years, it's like, how do you have performance and longevity focus?
Yeah.
Right.
And so he's a big iodine pusher.
No,
Is that weird?
he's just saying like you want to have enough of this around to help with all of your hormones from natural sources if you can help it.
Yeah.
Or else, and he's like, if you can't get iodized salt, which is in his like micronutrient list, essentially, like you could use like here's your options. Here's the most natural form, or you search out for iodized salt. But he's also a big pusher of like sodium content from pink salt. So it's like there's just nuances to things, and that's where coaches can add so much value because they say it one or two times. It's in your brain. It's now connected, and you're going to go use those things moving forward.
Yeah.
Right.
So you guys feel like if someone's going to start Ozempic, they might need a personal.
They
do need it.
They definitely do, because again, like the habits aren't really changing. It's just the amount.
Yeah, and the new lady I'm seeing, Elizabeth Bright, the thyroid lady, she's really big on iodine too, and told me about all of these horrific symptoms that are caused by iodine deficiency that I've had lifelong. The first, like when I looked at the list, the first thing was neck swelling, and I like got tears in my eyes. I was like, oh my God, like I've struggled with that forever, and this and that and the other, all these symptoms, and you can apply them all to your life. And she thinks most of the population is iodine deficient.
Yeah.
Had no idea it affected your metabolism and your ability to like use your body's energy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I have to agree with what you're saying. Like starting a drug like this, where people are going to start eating hypocalorically, you got to make up for it with other stuff.
Yeah, some density.
The number one product we recommend is a green supplement to get more micronutrients in some, like, again, just shake it and just down it really quick. Because we know, again, so people might be coming in looking for quick fix, but it's our job as coaches to, project them into the goal of longevity. And guess what? The number one thing to extend health span for most people is weight loss, right? That's going to clear up a lot of things on the internal side. But to what end, right? To what cost? You just don't keep losing for forever.
And you don't want to lose like bone density and muscle. And
Exactly. You're getting right into it. Like people argue like it's just calories, and I'm like, yes, but also like you don't want the person that you're working with, like you're talking about, like, yeah, you got low on calories, but now you're feeling a certain type of way. Maybe with a coach, you could have had like some fermented foods in there that could have stopped some of the side effects digestively, right?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Now my tummy feels great. I have energy. I'm not worried about my tummy anymore. What else can I do?
Mhm.
You know?
And they say your gut is your second brain.
Mhm.
So I have wondered if it wasn't the drug that gave me the anxiety, it was the drug's effects on my gut. You know?
The bagel town. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
So much there. So
Oh,
much
I know.
there,
It's like a
dude.
whole other room.
You're about to open up like a textbook right now.
well, this is where coaches, again, like a lot of them want to, going back to the content creation, they want to get known for like something in a niche that's unique and something that's highly saturated, right? So they're going to project like this thing, this is the solution, right? This is problem, this is solution. It's just sales 101, right? But in my eyes, like as I'm dealing with more and more people, more unique cases, some of the most simple things is just people will breeze right over it. Like again, just helping aid digestion is like a big one. Like your ability to break things down, especially with age, it's like you just need a little assistance. It's okay, and it's like I have one client right now where she sent me like, look at my new pants yesterday. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And she's done macros before. She's worked with a coach before, got like a little bit of a result, but this is the best result she's had. I've added just very little things that I'm like, let's just try this based on like quote the symptoms that we're talking about. And like basically before every meal she takes Masszymes, which is a digestive enzyme that has all the different type of like things to help break down protein, carbs, and fat.
Yeah. Just
one pill. It calls for 3 per serving, like 3 times a day. I was like, let's just start with 1, see what happens. And like right there, she's assimilating food better. And
yeah, how can you use your energy if your gut can't break it
Yeah.
down?
Yeah.
Is that what he's got you on, Rachel?
No, not yet.
I already have written down like 5 supplements that I need to like. I just typed it in. Said I need iodine right away.
5%.
Yeah, it's just little things. The coaches are cheat codes. We're going to be here to just give you again things and actionable steps, cheat codes to getting there a little bit quicker. And then you'll be like, oh my god, like thank God they didn't just push. Like again, I think like Carnivore 2.0 is a great solution to a lot of people because you said it's eliminating a lot of things that are already well documented to cause issues.
Yeah.
So you're like, okay, like if these are my 10% of the year I get these things in type of food list, and this is my base, like you're the whole idea is like the sustainable and adherence thing is like, do you see yourself maybe not having it perfectly next year, but using these core principles because of how good you feel right now?
Mm-hmm.
I think so. I have a lot of willpower, so I feel like I could do it. Just like it gets hard when it's stuff like this, when I'm traveling or we got a lot of weird looks in Canada, like ordering at a restaurant and they're like, you don't want any sides?
You don't have routine.
Yeah, or like even vegetables, they're like, we didn't want them to waste it.
Good luck with the holidays coming up with your family.
We don't celebrate, so we get to skip.
Okay, I mean, that's the thing. I think we like to teach people that, but like, yeah, there is that societal like demand sometimes, right? Or the travel for work and stuff, and it's like, how do you survive in this world? And I think we do our best to teach. I mean, we travel, we got the air miles, so we teach people, hey, this is how you do it, but also at the same time still make it friendly and lifestyle friendly, and understand that like it's not perfect. And I think a lot of people, it causes them a lot of fear that they just go screw it. Like I have a client right now, she's like, I'm always with my family. I'm like, can I teach you one skill? Are you okay if I teach you one skill? And she's like, what is it going to be? My favorite skill, it's the best one for travel, I teach, just eat with your opposite hand.
I can't wait.
What?
It sucks if you're ambidextrous because you broke your arm when you were a kid.
Yeah,
So
I know.
eat just as fast with my left as my right.
Her problem is
she's with family. It's high fast time. It's a lot of stress. She just down. She tried it out. She's like, Seamus, I couldn't even finish my plate. I was so full. I'm like, there you go. No one said anything about your food. No one said anything about your food. You ate with your opposite hand. You got full, and you're still working on your goals. And she's like, thank thank you. And
I wonder if it like activates the other side of your brain, you know, because they say like to prevent a stroke or to prevent the devastating effects of a stroke, you should work with your other hand every day because it wakes up, you know, the other side. So maybe it has some psychological.
I think it might be that. I also just say is like, have you ever had sushi before? And it's like, remember the first time you had, you know, chopsticks? It's like impossible. It's just that dexterity thing, and I think it just slows people down. And
it's where they just give up.
Yeah, I'm done eating. Yeah, so
the trainer chopsticks, please.
But yeah, no, I really appreciate you sharing that and the vulnerability. Your fear is it's there, but I think you have more than enough to kind of travel and manage that. You know, so it's
honestly, it's funny you mentioned carnivores like your approach right now, right? Because when I travel, I literally just travel with a bunch of meat because it's easy to eat cold, and like I literally go carnivore on work trips unless I've like truly like prep my meals ahead of time for my consistency, because it's like it's really hard to overeat.
It is, and when we've gone off of it, Nick and I both, I am amazed at how full. Like I take 2 bites of corn or something, and I'm like, I don't remember feeling like this because it doesn't like you feel satisfied, but you don't feel that stretched stomach feeling.
Yeah.
And you don't overeat, whereas carbs you can easily put away
all day.
It's been so we've learned so much.
Yeah.
And it's been so good to go. I'm glad we went off of it because it showed us like that wasn't that fun. I don't need sugar. Like I kind of just want to go back to, you know, carnivore. The only thing is like the really strict version that I'm on right now of just like beef and butter. That's been a little too hard.
Yeah, it's a little too
You don't get any. Would you normally season stuff?
On carnivore, I like did minimal seasoning because the seasonings come from vegetables, which is a plant, and you never know, you might have a allergy. So not really, but on normal carnivore, it's like cheese, chicken, bacon, any animal, eggs. And so she only wants me to do this for 2 weeks and then see, like, could you be reacting to the egg yolk or the egg white or the pork or whatever.
Yeah, you could have an egg issue.
Yeah, a lot of people do.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like the most ultimate form of elimination, like you said. And then, I mean, most people should probably go through that so that they learn how good they actually feel at some point in time, and then how they were just still functioning. They're like, oh my god, like that's what I walked around at. And
he just said that he was like, shoulder pain was just normal life for me.
Yeah.
I never even dreamed that it could go away. And so now when it comes back, he's like, I don't want to. I took a video of him the other day. He was like, I'm bloated. I got a headache. My shoulder hurts.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go back and
you start creating like boundaries with yourself. You know, when you're like, I was at a birthday thing, and you're like, yeah, that looks really great. I'm gonna have a bite, but I'm not going any more than that because I know after this I'm not gonna feel so good. And it's like I keep that. I'd rather keep the feeling than having to like bounce back for 24 hours, brain fog, or just lethargic. You know, I'd rather feel good. You know.
That lady I keep referencing, Elizabeth Bright, she said, she was like, when you feel good, because I was concerned about the diet getting this strict. And she was like, once you feel good and we get your thyroid to a healing dose, you won't actually crave that stuff. You won't want it. And you'll look at people eating it and be like, you're gross. Like, I don't want to, I don't want to, do that to myself. And I'm waiting for that. Because I feel like a lot of cravings are like your body searching for energy or something.
Or nutrients.
Yeah, you guys know more than I do.
No. Because like magnesium deficiencies are usually like chocolate cravings. Yep. So there's like, and because there's certain foods that speak to you or ones that to get that like balance in, as weird as that sounds.
What's sugar craving?
That is just hedonistic.
Yeah, that's hedonism. I mean, the brain is 25% glucose, so what it gets, like most of your glucose goes up to the guy up there. So that's just like energy, but learning how to manage your energy and your sugar so that to the point where like you're stable, right? That way you don't have these troughs up and down of like, I need more sugar, but that takes a while. That takes a while.
Yeah, I feel like the physical cravings went away, but mentally I'm still like looking for a pick-me-up every day at multiple points.
Yeah, that's not even doing coffee then right now too.
No stimulants. Although I have broken that rule, like while I'm traveling, I have to like start over when I get back because we've been idiots. But She said, because the other issue she was afraid of is something with my cortisol. I had to do a saliva test and like spit in these tubes, and
You did the four ones across the day.
Yeah.
What did it come back and say?
I haven't got the results. I'm dying, but she felt pretty strongly that I should lay off stimulants.
Yeah,
It's a good call.
But that's like the best part of the day.
some like
Well, how many
water or
days has
something
it
like or some other herbs.
But that's a plant.
I know. In the future, I'm saying like
In the
future,
like
some different forms of energy, because it's hard, it's hard sometimes with caffeine. I get it.
And like if you have depression, which is why part of the reason I'm on this diet, that the energy drink would like give me a mood boost. So I'm like it.
But I bet like she's mentioning, you could be dealing with like HPA axis dysfunction or adrenal fatigue is what we were labeling it a few years back when it came to like athletes that were high level CrossFitters that were like just like they couldn't compete anymore because they couldn't perform, and they're like, what the hell's going on? And it's the same issue, but just manifesting in people doing too much high intensity.
Yeah.
So but again, like you have to do a saliva test that's done throughout the day. That's where like even in our main jobs where we're just testing cortisol with like a serum level, it tells nothing. It's like it's like
That's what she said.
It's basically like a throwaway part of the lab. It's like, why do we know now that like you have to do like the serum, the 24-hour version.
I like hearing you guys agree with.
Oh no!
Oh, she's probably you're working with one of the best, right?
Yeah, I actually went through a course with a integrative health practitioner. So like I'm a level 2 certified integrative practitioner, where I look at these labs now to help understand like micronutrient imbalances, cortisol, stress tests, a bunch of different like things, because those are just a snapshot in time with your labs, right? So these other tests might be like these things are deficient and things you can correct. And I actually had my first client actually order one of them, and I suspected that there was a candida issue based on her not losing weight, right? But now I actually had the valid test that actually correspond to that, and it like again like I already knew that she should be doing this detox protocol, but now we have an actual awesome. We have hey, we know what this is, and actually it helps us because we were going to do the detox anyways, just to kind of like get the liver to like function better and process food better. But there's 2 additional supplements we have to add to that protocol now. We need mastic gum and we need citruside drops, so things that could then help promote these things. Yeah.
There's so much stuff
I know.
you have to take.
There's so much. Yeah, we're gonna get to a lot.
It becomes fun because I want to be able to help more and more people. And those
like
little
a science experiment.
exactly.
But you're people. Jamie, I really just want to say thank you so much. I'm looking at the time. We could talk about this all day. This is kind of our thing. I really just want to say thank you so much for the vulnerability and kind of showing us again, kind of reliving that whole Ozempic thing, and now your new journey with your health. And we'd love to support that in any way we can, for sure. We want to just be appropriate and respectful of your time. We're over an hour and everything here. Again, thank you so much for having us here. Is there any kind of other message you want to give to the audience? Where can people find you, or even anything coming up for you that you're excited about?
Oh man, a message. I'm not good at messages, but I do. I do have my shameless plug. I do have my clothing line that I'm launching soon. And like I told you before we started, a lot of my upcoming projects are all in here. And I struggle with like motivation and energy, but eventually a lot of times I will actually create something. So eventually we're going to put music out, and
we need to get you in contact with our guy.
Yeah.
You have a guy?
Basically, yeah. He actually was one of our very first people because of Rachel. It's like, hey, I have someone that I think would be great to interview. And he's basically turned this into a freaking catalyst of us like trying to, again, we're stumbling through it. We know that, but like as the production gets better and better, I'm like, we're documenting the journey. People can see these little things change. So his name is DP Gates, and he's like, again, in the financial area, but it's all about, energy
and motivation,
and just the way that he's constantly breaking things down. The way you leave these calls, we're like, are we about to just change this thing? Like,
we shifted. It's funny because we had a call with him. The 90 days after that was a shift, and then we had another call within the first 4 days of that. Something happened in me that I was like,
and now so he could like help motivate me to actually start the project.
And even deeper than that motivation, you truly attracting the energy that you're looking for and getting the right type of things you need in your life just coming your way. Like he said it, you set the intention, but you let the universe do the work. You don't have to do the heavy lifting. So you don't need that like, oh, this is a mountain I need to climb. No, you're going through it.
Yeah, I'd be interested to hear
Yeah.
how you can help me.
I think about
Start with the episode though, because he talks about this thing with like a goal card and then existing as if that goal is already currently met, right?
Ah.
And that, like, again, reframes your mind into thinking these things are your new identity.
Yeah.
And then below that are your character traits that you value most. And so both of us have like that goal card right now in our notes on our phone. We're supposed to print it out and laminate it, but
Too much
we look at it. Yeah.
and again, everything on it, I keep referring back to it like monthly. And I'm like, I'm truly becoming that person, all those core beliefs. And literally, yeah, it's manifestation power essentially, right? Like, and every time in my previous lives, because I've lived so many, I'm a father of two, or I was like highly competitive CrossFitter, and then now it's like really diving into these new endeavors. It's like every time I actually wrote shit down, it was a constant reminder, these are the things I want to get done. Yeah.
It's so funny, like, to hear you guys say all this stuff and all these like tangible techniques you have to achieve your goals. I don't do any of this. I just go through life like, hope this is right.
That might actually help your anxiety. That might help your anxiety.
Yeah,
because writing it down gets it out of your head.
That's so true.
And instead of it being stuck here, it's like, oh, okay, yeah.
Nobody is like this in Missouri. We don't have motivational people or like, health coaches.
You do have a lot of meat. Like steaks. So you're covered on
tons of meat.
But mental diet, you need this, right?
Well, I guess that's why we have to come out here to make this impression.
Yeah, I'm so glad I met you guys.
Yeah. And again, just thank you for the time. You obviously plugged that, and we'll have your channel linked on this video so people can go check. We take care of all the show notes and whatnot. But it's been a pleasure. I mean, obviously, I know we could just keep going. And thank you for letting us stumble through this, like, kind of like experience. And it worked out better than I definitely anticipated in my head. I was a little worried, but I now know we need to actually
we need lights, we need better thumbnails, we need better everything. So thank you so much.
I'm going to look more at your stuff and see if I can help anymore. But
Oh.
as you can see, I also lost my train of thought a few times. And so you're not alone.
We're not.
It's not scripted. It's authentic.
Authenticity at its best. A person with lived experience doing it your way. We thank you so much.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah. It's like, now I got to look at the camera, guys. All right. Well, thank you again for listening to another episode of the Macro Perspective, guys. This was a great one and very unique for us, and hopefully the first of many we get with a person in the flesh. It's definitely a far better conversation. I can just say that immediately. As much as we love our virtual guests because of time, our goal is to get more people like this so you can be immersed in a conversation. So thanks again. We will see you next time.